Yo, you know this is recording. This shit is going in the show. We good?
Yeah, we good. Let's get it in. Let's get it in, man. You know how we do. You know the vibes.
You know the vibes.
Zid.
All right, I'm about to bring them in.
Forward.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, Lord, what up, Lord?
What's the deal?
Yo, do me a favor and turn your phone sideways.
Let me see. Turn my phone sideways. Let me see this shit. Okay, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
I can see y'all niggas. Okay, right. We good.
What's good? Salute.
What's the deal, Don?
Everything straight, man. How you?
I'm blessed in quarantine with everything I need. You know that.
Yo, 2 seconds, son.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Mitch got the setup.
No, son be on it.
Yeah, I see. I was like, okay, shit. I was in here riffing and shit, man. Like, it was crazy. I just got off the phone with Morris Day, man.
You just got off the phone with Morris Day.
That's been my best friend for almost 20 years. One of them.
About the bird?
Yes, Jungle Love, all that shit.
Jungle Love.
Listen, Stuck to tell
you. We got stories to tell, man.
I was gonna say Stuck. No, I got too many stories to tell now. We'll save it for the podcast. This is like a lot of shit. So a lot of
That's
stuff.
what we here to talk about, baby.
All right, well, let's get into it. Yo, Krug, set this shit off.
It's like ready.
Stuck B, fuck out here. Sonny Brown, fuck out here. Now tuning in to the Fuck Out Here podcast.
You ain't fucking with us, we ain't fucking with you. I know what you could do. Fuck out of here. We only cool with a few. It's only love for the crew. And for me, that ain't you. Fuck out of here. Y'all ain't loving the laws, then let me show you the door. Fuck out of here. That shit whacking and whack. Put it back in the bag. Fuck out of here. You ain't fucking with us, we ain't fucking with you. I know what you can do. We only cool with a few. It's only love for the crew. And homie, that ain't you. Fuck out of here. Go for the broads. If y'all
ain't loving the Lord,
let me show you the door. Fuck out of here. That shit whacking and whack. Put it back in the bag, cause we ain't fucking with that. Fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here, man. Tune in, man. Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. 420
bake your face off.
Baby. Live and direct. All of your
A-listers, B-listers.
Come on. A-listers, D-listers. That's how we give it up, man. If you see nobody, just fucking nobody. We gonna make you somebody. Fuck out of here.
I lock myself up in the basement, and in my mind I pretend like I'm on a spaceship. It's athletic, chase it. Basic. Drink the bottles of Pepsi so I can get wasted. Step aside the microphone booth so I can lace it. 80s boom box, especially when that bass hit. It's like surgery giving whack niggas a facelift. So if you battle me, you better have some better rhymes. You sound like Britney Spears when she was dating Kevin Federline. Disaster risk, you bastards get nothing but a lyrical assault weapon. Acid I spit in your face like mace from a canister. I'm cooler than suburban kids sliding down the banister. And it's the way that I perform on this album. Oh Lord, where you get your style from? That official, music, it doesn't Doesn't matter if it belongs back in the days. Right now, even you can use it. Official New York City, where you build it. From the north to the east to the west to the south, go on. It's a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we got L.A.W together, the Franchise Squad in the house tonight. They want to tell you a little story about where they come from. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. This man was made in Brooklyn. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Where from? St. Mark's, Crown Heights, that's where I'm from. Where you live by the gun, then you die by the gun. And if you come around, you better hope that we know you. Brooklyn, notorious, don't let me have to show you how we get it poppin' from block to block. Hoping that we don't sell rocks to undercover cops. If you want good cheesecake, Junior's is the spot, the best pizza shop, and even Chinese restaurants. And the cornerstone of different heroes. And if you ain't swaggin', you an absolute zero. You get a meal for less than $4. If you feel me, then holla, 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 holla. Furthermore, we invented the way you use the slang words and how to tell you when you getting on our damn nerves. And then you wonder why your face is in the dirt. Take a real good look at my shirt. Oh, I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Body that.
Lyrical assault weapon.
Wow.
You ain't know about that. We pulled them shits out, kid. Yeah, we pulled them shits out, you heard?
It's thirst cream, where I lost my virginity. Where my nigga was a buddy with a hurt spleen. Where the BMX bikes through the dirt scene. I'm a Brooklyn hood boy, I can't change that. Disrespect the L.A.W and get your brain cracked.
Brooklyn!
The train track. Now you got 9-year-old kids learning to slang crack. Brooklyn, home of the accurate aim shooters. Become a superstar or be a plain loser. Basketball sports being taught on the court, but the same court with slanging and banging is being taught. And the drugs are being bought, and the guns are being bought, but the ones who selling the product is the ones that never get caught. I ought to be ashamed of the place where I'm from, but it's in my DNA. SMA, young gun, tell them where I'm from.
We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Brooklyn.
We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Brooklyn.
We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Brooklyn.
Crown Heights,
You know, come on.
Brownsville.
Never ran, never will.
Brownsville.
Never ran, never will.
Most time to kick the music biz. Y'all ready for this? Planet 12. We go a little something like this.
Damn.
Time. And I can't get you off my mind. And it surely would be a crime.
Wow. I'm geeking right here. That's what's up. Wow. That's one of my favorites right there.
I was chilling on a Friday night. Me and my boys checking out the sights.
Yeah.
Love in my ride. Until this bad shorty caught my eye. So I asked a young girl her name.
Yeah.
And I did the same. She said, do you know where Starbucks is at? I told my boys I'll be right back. Yo, I'll be back. The conversation was great indeed. Like said, you got what I need. She gave her numbers and went inside. And on my way back to my ride, I was thinking, y'all, I gotta get it, I got to get it down. I gotta get it, I got to get it down. I gotta get it, I got to get it out. You know why? Why? Tell me why. Cause I think about you all the time. And I can't get you off my mind. And it surely would be a crime if I was to call you a dime. Cause baby, you're a baller. She got me yelling out the water. You know I got to get you and I'm gonna make your mind. Cause you're a nickel and 2 dimes. Lord. Wow. St. Mark's Ave Chronicles 2011, Planet 12, killing the competition. Here we go. Yo, I'm on my way to the scene. I got my teeth grinning. No Charlie Sheen on my team, but my team is winning. I'm stepping out of my ride, rocking the mean linen. Tongue sticking out at chicks, they call me Gene Simmons. I rock and roll all night and party every day. Alligator leather laid with burgundy shoes made of suede. Black leather jacket, Planet 12 logo. Vintage shirt made by Polo, got them all going loco. Paparazzi acting around me trying to get my photo, cause I'm the most talented kid and the niggas are just so. Red carpet flash out, watch me put my cash
Like, with that, right?
I can't believe that the Lord made the Grammy ballot.
This is crazy.
I answered it in your face, right?
When the last time you heard that, Shaq?
Kid got tossed like a without the dress.
A few days ago, actually.
Dr. Dre came back, the lyrical.
A few days ago.
South Brooklyn, Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy. I shine like a strobe light. These rappers we call poltergeists. They get scared with the mic. A prototype you should never take a chance on. Lyrical John Travolta, watch me go and get my dance on. Yo, platform shoes. Yo, PG's music. Yo, Saturday Night Fever, but I ain't got no headache, nigga.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We do our
That's
home.
the way we do intros?
We do our homework here, B.
Wow.
Talk to him, Beezy.
Hey, yo, man. Now tuning in to the quarantine edition of the Fuck Out of Here podcast. When we say quarantine, we really quarantine. I'm here where I'm at. DJ Kruger is at where he's at. Sonny Brown's there where he's at. And we got our motherfucking guests. You know what I'm saying? Definitely legendary. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people be sleeping. They definitely don't know. You know what I'm saying? And we're here to talk about that right now.
They're going to learn today.
He got so many goddamn credits and all this shit. You know what I mean? We just need to get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Say what? Shaka Khan. What's some other names? Did you read the bio?
George Clinton.
Of course.
George
absolutely.
Clinton.
Just said he was.
Did you read that?
He just said he was best friends with Morris Day. I seen he been on stage with Granddaddy IU, one of our homies.
Oh yeah.
Hold up, and I seen them. He got his own little show, and he be doing shit on IG. I seen him interviewing. I tapped in. He was fucking interviewing one of the dudes from Drew Hill.
Yeah, Nokia. That's the Nokia, the whole boy Drew Hill. So,
are you kidding me?
Fact.
Real shit, man.
Hey, yo, one time y'all need to make some noise for my God Planet Lord, y'all. Woo!
No, Planet 12, the band.
You know it.
Planet 12.
Boom, boom. You don't know. Fuck out of here.
Vibes.
Fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here.
Real shit, man. Thank y'all guys. Thank y'all so much, man. I appreciate
DJ
it.
Kruger.
DJ Kruger. Hey, yo, before we start this, though, I just want to say, man, this is how we pay homage. You know what I'm saying? You send us some stuff, but we pull out other stuff.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, we gotta
I'm saying, because look, our DJ right there is fucking legendary him damn self, man. That's DJ Kruger, a.k.a. Freddie from the Soul Shack, man. Y'all niggas don't know. You know what I'm saying? He's been around, baby.
It makes sense. It makes total sense. Wow.
You know what I mean?
You gotta connect the dots, V.
No, that made me feel good, man. That's crazy. I'm like, they pulling out shit like, wow. Like, I was like, oh shit. He knew he had my head fucked up. I'm like, I ain't hear this shit in a minute. I'm like, okay, damn.
He know when he got a motherfucker. I got him now. I got him now.
He got me for real. I mean, not attest to the fact that we've been tight for so long, but that's just like shit. Like we don't pay enough homage in our own ciphers, and that's what pisses me off about the industry, especially when it comes to hip hop, because it becomes this shit about, oh well, such and such and such, or my man's in them. Like the first time, I know we'll get into it, but that's the reasons why me and Russ are so close. Me and Rusty Jukes, because the thing is that when Russ put his album together, I was one of the first niggas he called, because of course, when nobody wasn't listening to him rhyme, I took time to listen to Russ when he was rhyming when nobody knew that he rhymed. And that was mainly because of the fact of just always being that ear and just being that person that would stop in the midst of my own shit when I started touring with George Clinton and whatnot. So it's just, when you have platforms like this, it's a good feeling, man. So again, I thank y'all for just bringing me on. I appreciate that, man.
You're ready.
Real shit.
Yo.
So,
now I'm about to ask you, when we starting that, there's so much to work with, you know what I mean? You could go
let's start from the beginning, man.
Okay.
Start from the beginning. How the fuck did you get into music and end up playing 7 instruments, V?
Okay, well, I mean, first and foremost, it's only fitting since we among the brethren around the real shit, so all I talk is Brooklyn. All I know is Brooklyn. So first and foremost, St. Mark's Avenue, Albany Projects, the whole cipher of that situation. And in the midst of growing up raw in the hood, you know, I grew up in a musical family because most of my family was in the music industry since the 70s. So it filtered down to me. My older brother, Casino Chip, was from Marcy. My older brother, Casino, grew up with Source Money and Jay. So that's a whole nother subject. So just having that whole ability is that it filtered down. So of course my first love is singing because obviously my mother, my uncle were all trained professional singers, doing shows at the Apollo, you know, a lot of stuff. So of course me being one of the older ones, but one of the younger ones too. So of course naturally singing gospel, funk, R&B, you know, regular shit. And then of course around 81, 82, by the time I turned 7, this whole thing called hip hop came into the picture. And as we all know, from the Bronx, it took over everywhere. So us being one of those, you know, us being around the same age, it filtered down to every last one of us who was into the culture when it comes to rhyming, MCing, graffitiing, DJing. So of course, me being entrapped by all that, I wanted to incorporate that with all the singing shit that I was doing already. And that's what made us different, because even though we grew up in church, that whole situation, we were still, you know what they say, like Jodeci, we had 1 foot in the street and 1 foot in the hood. So we was on both sides of the spectrum. So that's where pretty much it all started. So from that point on, I already knew what I wanted to do. So I began perform with my mother, doing you know, Parks Department shows and things like that. So we would go to Queensbridge, just before Queensbridge was even popping like that. We would go to do block parties, and then we would do the ones in Brooklyn too. So my mother's from Brownsville, so of course we would go wherever she had a show in front of the BRCs. You know, I know. That's why I can talk about it. A lot of niggas can't talk about this shit. My mom is still Brownsville, like to this day. So when she would do shows, you know, I'm like a studio rat. Everywhere my mother went, I went. So when she's in the studio, I'm right there. I'm listening. I'm learning harmonies. I'm learning how to produce. I'm learning how to play drums. So by the time I turned 8 or 9, I was already playing drums behind my mother sometimes. Like we would do shows, and my cousin would jump on it, and then my cousins got nicer than me. So that's how I discovered guitar. And once I discovered 3 very important things: Prince, Michael Jackson, and a group called the Force MDs. That was originally the Force MCs. Remember, they rap first. People forget the Force MDs were rappers first. So the singing and the rapping thing came into existence, UTFO, and of course, my big bros for life, New Edition. So that's where the whole rapping and singing thing came for me, in terms of being able to do both. So, and the list goes on from there. By the time I turned 13, I was already traveling the world, performing with my grandfather, who's a blues legend, Sam Bluesman Taylor. And of course, y'all know my cousin, Cheryl Pepsi Riley. She had a joint called Thanks for My Child back in 1986 with Full Force. It's my first cousin. So that was a hit.
Facts.
I came up in it. So, you know.
That's crazy. Starting at 7 years old, came up in it, picked up the tools of the trade just from being a studio rat and moving around with the family. And you know what I mean, and then turned it into what you have done now, where you've been on tour with numerous acts, got a spin-off group from one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest funkadelics, one of the greatest funksters. You know what I mean? This dude is the creator of funkadelic, P-Funk.
That's a whole nother conversation by itself, because what people don't realize about George is that, see, I'm gonna get real deep for a minute. So check this out. See, the thing what people don't understand, why do you think I gravitated towards boot camp and Wu-Tang during the period when we was all growing up in that cipher, in that section? Because to me, on a hip hop level, that's what all the MCs represented. Because in P-Funk, everybody had a different thing, but it was all still a collective. See what I'm saying? Because people forgot, like, the first guy to do. I said, no, that ain't nothing but P-Funk in a hip hop form. I said, because now I kind of see, okay, Tech don't sound like Steel don't sound like Rock don't sound like Rock. That's what made that whole shit unique, that every MC can get on the mic and spit some shit, and then everybody had a favorite. So even if your favorite was this person, you still appreciate the fact that the other niggas rhyme different, but they were all dope. Same thing with Wu. So I told my mother at 12 years old that I was going to meet George Clinton one day, because once I heard Atomic Dog and Make My Funk the P-Funk and all that shit, it became a whole thing, you know?
Classics. Yeah, shit like that. Music like that will change your life.
Oh yeah, it did on a lot of different levels, man. Oh yeah.
Yo, you said something a second ago. You was like, of course, my big homies for life, New Edition. Your big homies. Like, what history you got with New Edition?
Well, I mean, me and Ralph been close for the last 15 years, and me and Biv, same thing. Like me and Mike Biv, like that's, you gotta understand something about New Edition. I'm speaking from a street perspective because you gotta remember, Prince, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, James Brown, those are my heroes. Those are my first, and Jimi Hendrix, those are my first heroes. But what's the difference there? I'm 9 years old. They're adults. So, of course, even though I love them and I'm studying them, it didn't resonate until I saw these 5 nappy-headed kids that look like me. From the projects like me, because people forget that about New Edition. The image was one thing, but you got to remember, New Edition, I hung with them, trust me. New Edition are certified Boston, Roxbury, Orchard Park Projects hood niggas, all of them. On some real shit. Don't let that smiles and falsetto shit fool you, because that was the stigma I had growing up in Brooklyn. You know, that whole thing of, oh, because you got a falsetto voice, we could fuck with you. And niggas learned that the hard way. They learned the hard way after a while.
It's something about, like, when you listen to them, you can't really tell, like how you said, because of the image and how they polished them up for the whole group situation. But when you hear Ralph talk, you could hear a little bit of street in him, like that.
Oh, hell.
Twang, like,
Ralph is more, listen to me.
Not for real, son. Yeah.
Ralph is more street. Listen, this is what people don't understand about Ralph. Because I won my first talent show at PS289, singing "Lost in Love," and made the girl scream. That's when I knew that's how I knew I was going to be something. Because I said, if I can make the girl scream in my own school, I'm good to go. But see, what people don't understand is that Ralph, Bobby, Ronnie, and Biv, the whole section of that, what people don't realize, they just like us. The whole point was that you didn't see that because we didn't have social media back then. You don't know. I always tell people, you don't know somebody's story until you sit down and kick it with them. It's a whole different perspective when you get a chance to sit down. And I already kind of knew because I would always hear these different things, but to be able to be that close to my idols and see it firsthand, I'm like, yo, they just like me and stuff or somebody. Like they did, like we be hanging out after the show and shit. And they start telling me like a lot of different stories that I would hear rumors about, but then they would confirm it. Like, yo, this is some wild, crazy shit that happened in '85 when we was on tour with Stacey Lattisaw. Did y'all see the movie? Did y'all watch the movie?
What, New Edition?
Yeah, y'all need to see that shit because that gives you a really vivid scope.
That shit is accurate.
What them niggas was like. Yeah, like that's really what it was. It's not fake shit. It's not made up for TV. It's like us, like certain things that only hood boys would know about. It's certain things, no matter where you're from, whether it's Chicago, Boston, L.A., it's all the same. Even though it's different aspects of it, like everybody has their different shit. But the one thing we all relate, and I think War said it best, the world is a ghetto. And if you're from any type of hood or street, whether it be Third Ward or whatever, like we can all relate in some sort of way to how things are, what you ain't supposed to do, what you are supposed to do. You know how it is. We talk about this shit because we live it, but a lot of other people that's on the outside looking in, they see the videos and shit and they think one thing. And then I'm like, unless you're around us, you really don't understand what that shit is about. So leave it up to somebody like me that's on the corporate end, but also where I'm from. I'm from St. Mark's fucking Avenue, Kingston and Albany. So there's a lot of shit that we can talk about that the world, the average fan or person will never, ever understand unless they're from where the fuck we from. And that's just the way it is. So New Edition, when I got close to them years later, it was like it was an awesome feelings. I'm like, I've been waiting for 20 years to really connect with my idols because when I saw Candy Girl and I saw them popping and locking, singing and rhyming, that was me. I'm like, oh shit, they look like me. They got nappy ass hair like me. They got the same fucking leather jacket like me and shit. They walking the same way I walk. It made you feel good. It's like now I have a group that I can connect with because I love the stylistics, but that's my mother's era.
I ain't gonna front. A lot of motherfuckers probably ain't gonna say it, but I was in the crib trying to get the steps and learn the words.
That's what's up. There ain't nothing wrong with that shit. That's real. What you think
I ain't out
was
of
doing?
dead, so I wasn't trying.
No, but what's it? But you
said me neither.
I was trying to learn the words though.
Say what?
I was trying to learn the words though, but I wasn't doing no dancing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Even if you didn't, this what my man New Edition cool because even if you didn't dance, the whole aspect was what we trying to do the same thing they do. Look, niggas was hating back then because New Edition was making all the girls in our hood scream. All the young girls we was trying to get with, I like you, but I like Ralph. That's how me and my sister got along. Look, me.
I thought that's why the group broke up, because all the girls wanted Ralph and shit. They wasn't.
No. That's actually no. It's actually the contrary. What happened was the group never really broke up. What happened was that dynamics change. You know how it is in the group. In the group, dynamics change a lot. So what happened, as we all know, Ralph and Bobby actually, because Ralph and Bobby were best friends, and the mutiny of that whole thing versus what would become later Velvet DeVoe before Johnny Gill came in the picture, is that they really were trying to get the sense of, we're trying to mature ourselves now. We can't be 14 forever. We growing up. We smoking weed. We fucking chicks. Like, that was, people don't understand that. She's like, yo, I'm 15 years old. And I'm fucking with women old enough to be my mother. But the crowd doesn't know that shit, because we have to still be a little bit of love is all that. We got to smile in the camera. I'm 14 years old overseas, so part of a dance troupe, because I'm a dancer in addition to all of this shit. So it's almost like I'm living the life that a lot of my friends, some of my friends still haven't left the hood. They ain't never been nowhere. They never traveled nowhere. So imagine me at that stage at 13, 14 years old, traveling the world, doing what I love. And still being
it's
me.
like, yo, you're a senior citizen and traveling, man.
Well,
It's probably mad shit cats want to do now. You don't already did it. It ain't nothing new to you.
Well, listen, I've been saying, I mean, if you've been reading my posts for over the last 4 years, I've been letting motherfuckers know. But you know how it is. What happens is that it's, how can I put it? It's really more so of, I can only be me. This is what I grew up in. The only advantage I have is the fact that my family's in the industry, but that don't mean shit. You still got to pay dues. It ain't what's
so like, I'm saying, so who you think be hating on you out there though?
It's not so much a particular I mean, I will say on an industry level, I went through that shit. But you gotta remember, at around, let's say 93, 92, I went to the high. I went to Boys and Girls. So think about this for 1 second. Smooth the Hustler, Trigger the Gambler, those are all my peeps. DBL is Christ. That's why I used to run into Ruck and Rod a lot when I used to go to graphic art and design. I run into a lot of these guys. So I always tell, when people always ask me, how do I know most of the boot camp members? I said, because, do DCEP shit, do other shit, like we would all see each other in the street. So when we saw those guys get on, it was like, well, damn, I know we're going to make it now, because I done seen peeps who I know who I actually love get on. But then when you get into the cipher and the circle of it all, when you're a talented motherfucker, and yes, I am talking about myself at the moment, when you carry that much shit with you, plus the business, you gotta remember, fellas, I was 16 years old and I knew what publishing was. That's unheard of. You're not supposed to know about publishing at 15, 16 years old. When you know about publishing, royalties, and the business aspect, my grandfather taught me. He got jerked in the 70s, so he poured all of his knowledge into me. So I'm a threat now. I know business. I know how to get to the money. Plus, I sing. I'm a real MC. I'm a dancer, choreographer, and I play instruments. That's a threat to a normal motherfucker. So a lot of people, it's almost like, okay, and I would see that talent show. We would do, remember Ellison back in the day? Ellison used to have these talent shows at Tompkins Square Park. The first show that we did for Ellison, there was another group that was trying to, he's like, let these weirdos go first. It was talking about us. He's like, let these weirdos go first. And you know me, I'm like, okay, you want to play that fucking game? We went, we smashed the show. Niggas couldn't follow. So it was always my thing of, you can hate on me all you want, but before this shit is over, you will learn today what the fuck it's about. So I think most of the hate came from a lot of that sort of shit. And then of course from an industry level, because again, you know more than the average person at 14 or 21 years old. So they would try everything to block me, and then I knew too much. They don't want me to come around and start talking shit, because they know I'm going to be talking the truth about what the contracts look like, certain shit that ain't supposed to be happening, how to go about this. Some niggas listen, and some niggas didn't. So, I mean, that's pretty much who I think hate on me, and then people who just don't have as much talent if they're not secure with themselves. Think about it. So, I mean, that's really all I can pinpoint at this point.
So you talking about in general, it's like when the union show up to somebody's job and, try to unionize the joint. The employees, they don't want to hear that. They ain't looking forward to that because now people starting to wise up. They start
It's true.
tugging on their ear, dropping the jewels on them to change up the dynamic of somebody's business. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And they don't hear it. A lot of times people won't catch it until it's too late. I mean, let's keep it all the way real. When I saw things that were happening to my boys in boot camp, in Wu-Tang, and a lot of the other rap groups that we can sit here and name for 20 million years, when I saw what was happening years later after all the heyday shit exploded, this made me even more smarter, because I'm just like, it's no way in hell that they should have to go through this shit something years later when things are not being done properly business-wise. So I was making my little moves on other playing fields. That's what gave me a platform more so than my contemporaries, because as a MC, I can move through here, but I'm a singer too, so I can also move over here. And if the people are going to pay me more over here for doing this sort of shit, I'm going to move where it's going. Let's see where it's going, because I could always, I can pick up a mic and spit at any fucking given moment. Y'all know that. But the thing was that part was only opening up for a second, whereas everything else about my talent was opening up even more. So I'm like, you know what? I could always take that part of it and bring it on over here. And people didn't understand it right away, but I didn't care. I knew eventually they'll get it, because look where we at now. So many credits. 15 years later, shit is thriving, and we still in quarantine season. I'm still getting booked for 2021. So that says I'm doing something right,
Yeah, man. But that's what's up. But yo, fuck all that. What's up with what is like touring with motherfucking Shaka Khan?
Well, it's funny. I only did.
Wait. What is like touring with Shaka Khan, and what is the setup for like her backstage shit? Cause she look like she got wild costumes, like when she be performing this shit.
Okay,
that's my girl. Right?
Well, here's the shot. Let me just say this real quick. First of all, I only did 2 shows with Shaka. One where we were the opening act, and one when we sang background for her for like 3 songs. So, but here's the thing though. I was in the setup of all that. I had to be there, sound check, watch everything that happens and go on. I'm gonna tell you like this, because that's a friend of the family now. Number one, that's my favorite female singer. In case you didn't know, or if you did know, Shaka is Chi-Town hood, without question. There's a whole bunch of shit going on backstage, setup-wise. Wild costumes. I mean, she's more chill now because, of course, she's older. And I mean that in a respectful sense. She's older. So, of course, but nothing changes. She still has her relaxed moments when she's chilling, puff every now and then, take a couple of L's before the show, chill, get her voice together, crack.
That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, yeah. Listen, she's straight city hood like we are. I love being around her. It's just fun. It's just like you're going to get the realness. Like one time when I first met her, she was cursing somebody out backstage. She had a cigarette. I don't think she smoked no more, but she had a cigarette. And y'all can hear her from around the corner. So the guard took me to go meet her, because it's like, yo, Law want to meet, because that was my first time. I've been waiting for years to meet her. And it's like, it's Shaka, yo, Law from P-Funk, he wants to meet you. So he brings me in front of her. So of course I'm starstruck like a motherfucker. She looks at me and she goes, hey baby, how are you? Like she just gets all like a drunk auntie. She gets all cool with you and shit. But she was just cursing somebody out like 10 minutes before I came around the fucking corner. So yeah, she's cool like that, man. She's cool like that.
I wanted to start asking you, at what point did you start locking into licensing? Because I see you got like 40 different placements, licensing type situations, or all kind of VH1 cable situation. Like, at what point did you switch gears, or was it always just part of the entire formula where you was creating music, but at the same time handling yourself and representing yourself and moving this music on a business level?
Great question, man. It was always a part of it, but here's the thing. When I first got my publishing deal, I'm with Seaside. When I first got my publishing deal, I was about 26, 27? I don't know. I can't remember, but I got my publishing deal after performance. Now, I understood what it meant, but I heard about licensing. Like I said, it was always part of the plan, but I never knew how songs got onto TV shows. I didn't know what the job of a music supervisor was. See, I learned this a little bit later, and as you know, knowledge is power. So, of course, you hear shit, but you don't really understand it until you get like a real sit down with people who know shit. So of course, shout out to Wendy Day, Rap Coalition, one of my mentors, without question.
Big up.
So she would talk about this, but of course, even though you may know about it, as we all know, you still need a connection. You need like a person that you can latch on to or figure out what's going on. So I got into it about a few years later when I came across this book, actually a magazine. They had the list of all these supervisors. A friend told me, he's like, hey, Law, if you want to get into licensing, you have to find musical supervisors that you can pitch your song to. So me and my crazy Brooklyn ass, I'll get this magazine. And in one day, I emailed over 300 people. I took a whole fucking day and emailed 300 people. And only 2 responded back out of all 300. I almost lost my AOL account due to this shit. They call it, it was spamming. I didn't know no better. I didn't know no better though. I didn't know that spamming was wrong at that time. You know, trying to get your shit together. You trying to just promote, do your thing, somebody listen. So what happened is that the one person that contacted me was a woman by the name of Max Lucas, who worked for Bunham Murray. Bunham Murray, in case y'all don't know, Bunham Murray owns MTV, VH1, Oxygen. They're the ones that provide the music supervisors and all the different things that a reality show has. So of course, Max Lucas heard my shit and she called me. Like she actually called me back because people could be like, I like your stuff. I said, you like my stuff? What song do you like? And sometimes the A&Rs could never tell you. That's how I knew they was lying. I'm like, you ain't listen to the shit. But she said, yo, Get Hollywood on them in Brooklyn is my shit. The one that y'all played earlier. She heard Brooklyn and she said, well, Lawrence, listen to this. The next Real World that we're doing is going to be based in your hometown. And the rest is history. She used it in that. She also used it on my song. I have a song called Get Hollywood on. She's in the Real World Hollywood. So my licensing career began. Next thing you know, my first album, Plant Soul Syndrome, got passed around through all the music supervisors. And before you know it, by like 2009, 2010, 11, I had like about 35 reality shows playing songs from my record. So
nice.
Next year, that following year, I went from seeing $35 CSAC checks to, I ain't gonna say too much.
Leveled up on them. Mm-hmm. Fuck, it's like beating the big boss at the fucking in the game and shit. You leveled up on them.
And independent at that. How about that? No major label, no management, none of that shit. Just me being the Brooklyn hustler that I am, making sure. Because remember, when the record labels weren't filming, Sony tried to offer us a deal, but it was bullshit. And I was like, no. So I make the decision to make myself a valuable commodity because there was and there still isn't anybody like me out there. That's what makes my lane so appreciated and so valuable enough for me to be able to work with Big Daddy Kane, Dionne Warwick, Amy Winehouse. You know what I mean? I could work with these people because of my diverse nature of my talent. Everybody can't do that. So that put me in a whole nother bracket with the licensing because I have R&B songs. I got straight up funk, your drunk aunties barbecue kind of songs. I got straight up real hip hop, underground smasher rapper songs. I got all that shit. So it's almost like whatever you want, I got it. Here you go. It can play anywhere. So I played on that. You know?
Fire.
Gotta know what your strengths are in order to be able to maximize and you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Manage whatever opportunities is before you.
Mm-hmm.
You're already ahead of the game with that, but you've been ahead of the game. You was born, like you say, born into it, birthed up in it, raised up in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
well, I'm seeking management, so you already know. I need to be my manager, nigga.
Start guiding niggas there, listen to the career. I told my daughter wanted me to manage, my oldest baby girl. She wanted me to manage her. And I kept it real with her. I said, no, I'll be your advisor. Because see, being a manager, this is what people don't get. Being a manager, you have to really put yourself aside. If I wasn't active as I am now, because you got to remember, I'm in front of the scenes, but I'm behind the scenes too. I'm on both sides. Mm-hmm. If I was strictly behind the scenes, it would be easy for me to be a manager because I'm not. And the only reason why I'm in front of the scenes is because of what? My performance level. People love the way I perform on stage, whether I'm singing, rapping, or just doing straight dancing. Like, they just love the way I perform. So I'm going to always be hired to perform. So the whole point is to stay in shape and to keep my shit together because obviously they like when I throw down on stage. What I'm going to do? Tell them, no, I don't dance anymore? Fuck that shit.
I'm saying, I see they also like doing the acting game too, man.
Uh-oh.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What you
I
talking
seen,
about over there,
I
BZ?
think it
Got some
was,
credits?
yeah, yo, I seen, I don't know if it was on Prime Video.
Yeah, Amazon Prime Video.
Yo, matter of fact, it is Prime, because I just got the motherfucking, whatchamacallit this shit.
Yeah, before we start, Biz, this is set up. Did you watch this shit because you seen it in the bio, or you was just doing what you
No,
I watched it.
You watched it.
I watched it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to tell you, I have the Prime Amazon account for the movies. If you don't know, now you know. Me and my girl, we quarantined for the last 2-3 days. We've been priming it out. You know what I mean?
Priming it out. I dig it.
Priming it out. But before she came, though, I was already watching it already. You know what I'm saying? In this movie, it's pretty dope, too, man. It got Chrissy Monroe in it from Love and Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? It's called Unchained or something like that.
It's called Chain. Just Chain.
Chain.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. I'm over there smoking, doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the dude, somebody get locked up or whatever, you know what I mean? And they come to the precinct or whatever. Who the fuck I see coming into the goddamn thing? This nigga. I'm like, oh, shit. As soon as I see that shit, I hit him up. I'm like, I'm such damn like, yo, bro, I just see you some movie shit, son. Like, oh, Brian, kid.
We gotta get you on the show, B. We gotta talk about this shit.
Yeah.
So, with a hell of an intro like that, tell us about this feature in this film right here that's on Prime right now, on Amazon Prime, called Chain, that y'all can check out and see the homie Law. And tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, it's not my first movie, but a couple of movies I did. The first one was an independent movie called How to Make an Independent Movie in 10 Days. I played a band leader, and then this cult classic joint called We Are the Hartmans with the guy from this movie. I forgot his name, a legendary actor. And matter of fact, I wrote the theme song for the movie, and I got a little cameo as the guitar player. But that's not acting for me, because that's what the fuck I am. Right. So this movie Chained is my first real serious acting role where I get to play something other than what people know me for. And I play, of all things, a fucking cop. So it's like, it was crazy. And I got that role because Chrissy Monroe, that's one of my very best friends. Like, me and Chrissy been cool for a few years and everything like that. And this is a lesson. I want everybody that's tuning in to really hear me on this shit. I told Stuck about this shit, but I want to tell Thun and everybody else. This is the reason why I talk about support so much, why we got to keep supporting each other no matter what. Because the day that happened, when I got in the movie, I was just hanging out with Chrissy. She had this thing that she used to do in the Bronx. Like, you know, she used to do these, what they call it, like these mixer kind of events. So she used to have this shit in the Bronx. She said, yo, Lord, you got to come through. I'm like, sure, if I'm not doing nothing on Sunday, because usually I'll be up in church. But it was one day, I'm like, no, I'm not going today. I'm just going to go to the Bronx, go whatever, and just go to show you. And I rode by myself. No entourage, none of that bullshit. I came by for Dolo. I came there. We hung out. Everybody's having fun. And then Chrissy was like, she's like, well, Lord, what you doing later on tonight? I said, well, my friend had a show in the city at the cutting room. That wasn't until 8 o'clock. But the shit that Chrissy was about to do was at 2. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? I was just coming to hang out with her and just watch her work, because she's in the movie already. She was already in the movie. I'm just chilling. I didn't ask to get put in the movie, none of that. Yo, put me on. I didn't do none of that shit. I just was chilling, had my Pepsi.
That's that Brooklyn shit. That would have been me.
You know how it is. Look, you know the deal. I'm just cool and playing as I always do, playing my position. Pepsi in hand, chilling, not saying nothing, watching the whole thing. So I love movies. I'm fascinated with the whole movie concept. So I'm like, I'm watching. So a guy that was supposed to be a CO, he never showed up. So the director and the writer of the movie, that's what the movie's about, actually. The woman who directed it and wrote it, that's her life story. That's her life story. So she said, hey, what's your name again? I said, Law. She's like, you got a nice build. I said, oh, thank you. I'm like, I'm not like, okay, thank you. She's like, you want to be a CO in the movie? I'm like, sure, if it's okay with Chris. And Chris is like, nah, you good. You guys said, I just want to make sure I wasn't here to be in no movie. I'm just here to hang out and support you. I'm not. And she said, nah, Law, you good with me. So I went and be a CO, filmed one scene. The main guy who was supposed to be the lieutenant or the captain or whatever, he didn't show up. You know how niggas are. Niggas don't show up. They lazy and shit. And she turned to me. Again, she said, Lord, we had you do the CO thing, but I'm going to erase that. Have you ever acted before? I said, yeah, I've done a couple of movies or whatever the case may be. She was like, well, how would you like to be a police captain? I said, sure, but if y'all guys have a deadline, how am I going to memorize my lines? Or he said, don't worry about that. We got, we got a few days to film this. We'll feed you your lines. Just say these things and you're good to go. My first screen test, this is what they told me, right hand to God. They said, Lord, you killed it. You're a natural. And I'm like, and I'm like, fuck out of here. I'm like, come on now. You probably just saying that to get me to. And I was like, no. She said, look, we for real. We would tell you if you suck, and we would have got somebody else. But you did an excellent job. So the rest is history. I did that. Me and Chrissy ended up playing the 2 police officers in the precinct. I got a lot of rave reviews, and now this talks to Deborah putting me in some more of her projects when this Corona shit is over. So God is good, man.
That's what's up. Yo, maybe I need to come pull up with you and just like hold your water and stuff, and then maybe somebody pick you for a second or something.
but B, I mean, but you know how it is, B. I mean, look, the thing is that it's kind of like how we hang, like when we were hanging out at Russ video at the video shoot. That's normal shit. But every time I talk about y'all, when we talk about y'all, I said that's like a family reunion with us because this is real shit outside music industry stuff, as we know. You know what I mean? Like this is real shit in a place where we done been places, we done shit. Some things don't change. And the main thing about me, even from the very fucking beginning, as things were beginning to take off for me, this is what got me here. You see my pictures where I got the suit on, but I got my hat, I got my Brooklyn hat on. Because in corporate situations, you don't see no shit like that. It's like, yo, like they really like these corporate people are loving. But I'm just being me. I'm just being the same Marks nigga I've always been. It's no change. And I'm like, the difference is I got a suit on right now and I'm doing what I normally do. Shoot, I got the Mars Day Stacey Adams on. You know what I'm saying? I'm sliding, but the attitude is still there. That's the reason why I've been with the same agency for 19 years, because they allowed me to be me. They didn't try to change me. They didn't try to do any of that. I'm both sides of the fence. They was like, yo, we can use that to our advantage. Like Law brought the streets to the corporate world. I'm like, yeah, I did. All truth be told, I brought what we're about to the corporate world so that they can understand that they don't have to try to change people to get the quality performances that they want. Like we didn't have to change that. So only difference is that we put on the suit and we still get to be who we are. So a lot of those kind of doors open, you know?
Yeah, that's a hot story right there, man. What I wanted to pinpoint from that and put a spotlight on from that was the fact that you was just chilling with your people, supporting your peoples. But at the end of the day, that was part of the network. This is your peoples and you support them, but she's out here doing things that's connected to something else. You never know what anything could lead to. Whereas there's a lot of people who come from where we come from and they don't leave the neighborhood. They think everything gotta have something to do with smoking and drinking and bringing the guns and all that shit.
Yeah, all that bullshit.
All that shit is not necessary. And especially if you're taking yourself seriously, your career, your craft seriously, and you're trying to move ahead, move forward, you can't stagnate yourself like that to where you separating yourself from other things that could be the thing that make you go to the next level.
That's true. I mean, that's why, look, without saying no names, you know, when I graduated high school, right after I left the high, I went to go work with my grandfather. I traveled the road with him playing blues and R&B. And then when I came back to Brooklyn, it was crazy because a lot of the guys who I started with, everybody who rhymed, like me and DV Ellis went to the same school. So naturally, as you see, DV kept continuing. He continued. We continued. I continued. A lot of different people who we know continued making music and doing big things, or even things on just an underground regular level, whatever, it doesn't matter. And the thing was that you can't take everybody with you. I mean, people who are willing to put in the work and willing to understand that this is where we're trying to go. Very few people understand that. Put it this way. Jay-Z sent Memphis Bleek home. I know y'all heard that story before, right? Bleek was talking about how they went on the first tour after like the second album, and Bleek was acting up. Jay sent Bleek the fuck home because he wasn't serious. And he had to get serious. That's why he got that song, Got My Mind Right. That's what that was about, because he had to go back to Marcy to get his shit together if he really wanted to take part in what Jay was building. It's the same thing with me. Like a lot of dudes who I started out with, they wasn't as serious as I was. So a lot of them got left by the wayside. Now, thank God there wasn't no hate involved, because, you know, niggas could have easily been on some shit like that and been looking at me like, oh, we think he all that. And I never went through any of that, because the thing was just for me, I'm like, anybody from our hood can do it if they're serious about the craftsmanship networking and wanting to do things and to do shit to better their situation. You understand what I'm saying to you? I had choices. I made some pretty damn good choices. That doesn't mean I'm perfect, but my thing was just also about, I'm not going to do nothing that's going to jeopardize the shit I got going here. And unfortunately, a lot of other niggas around me, they would have put me in that position if I would have brought them around and they wasn't thinking the way that I was thinking. You know how that shit is. And I couldn't allow that shit. I'm trying to build an empire and build a legacy on top of what I'm doing. And niggas, like you said, niggas want to do dumb shit all day and still living in this era that doesn't even exist anymore. So it's just like, I don't got time for that shit. You know how it is. You know?
Kruger, what you were saying something about the Amy Winehouse situation, like y'all might have been in and around the same peoples and circles at about the same time.
What you mean with Amy?
My man Kruger, he was fucking around with what you said, Krog?
At the time, at one point in time, I got linked up with Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Got linked up with him via my homie Prezi, the boss and shit. That's his cousin or whatever have you.
Yeah.
At the time, I got linked up with him. He was just coming out the whole Lauryn Hill shit with Amy at that time, and he was working on Amy's first joint.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Frank.
Damn, you was rocking with Amy. Like, yeah, we might have been cross or around each other or some shit. Around the time he probably was getting into the New Yorker and setting up shop because he was dealing with Amy Winehouse on the first joint. So
yeah, Frank.
I seen the interviews and shit, like the little conversations you was having with George. I didn't really get to watch it. I'm like, yo, if he wasn't around Amy, I'm like, it might be. I don't know. I'm in the hood too. I'm from Bristol, Pickett, and Sotheby.
Ooh, okay. Stand up.
You knew it?
I don't know.
What happened? Everything good? You cool?
Good, Beezy?
Yeah.
I like the Grim Reaper and shit.
I thought we lost.
My bad. You know what I'm saying? I know the vibes, nigga.
I was gonna say the Thunny because Thunny was throwing the quote, but thank you for telling me that because that's my man. Like, here's the shit about Gordon. It's gonna blow your mind. Now, of course, me being a music fan, I've known Gordon, of course, as a Lana Knows baby. Everything that he was a part of, I'm like, if he had something to do with it, it was A-OK, it was official. Me and Gordon just connected last year. This is crazy. Funny how all those years we didn't connect. Because when I started working with Amy, what people forget, and I'm glad you brought up that first album, Frank, that's the first album. People think Back to Black is her first album. I said, no, that's the album that put her on the global map.
Right.
But if you knew like I knew, no matter of fact, since we're on the subject, let me just tell you the story of how I got the job working with Amy.
Yeah,
so first and foremost, let me go back to the beginning for a quick. So here's how it happened. Of course, as y'all know, I do corporate gigs and shit, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all that type of stuff. And there was a dude by the name of Al Street, this badass white guitar player. He's a bad boy. And we would always connect after the shows. After the shows, we'd be talking and shit. And he'd be like, yo, Lord, man, I love your voice. I love the fact that you can rhyme too. Yo, if I get a project or some shit, would you be willing to come to the house and do some vocals? I'm like, hell yeah, why not? So little did I know, about 2 months later, they have this gig that they're doing. And the lead singer bailed out. It was a corporate gig for like 500 people. They didn't have a lead singer. The gig is at 9 o'clock. The lead singer bailed out at the last minute at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the drummer who knew me, that's Al's boy, he was like, yo, get Law. Law can do all that James Brown shit and that Prince shit, plus he can rhyme. If we want to go to Tribe Called Quest, he know all that shit. We can do all that shit. So basically, they call me. I do the gig, and of course, I shut shit down, shut it down. So I had to leave because my band was rehearsing across town, and unfortunately, they couldn't rehearse without me. They needed the leader there. So I had to leave after the second set. So I gave them my card. I said, fellas, I love playing with y'all. Here's my card, man. I don't do that with everybody, just so we're clear. That is the thing about me. I'm very picky about who I work with. So like for me, it was like, I like their energy, man. They real cool. About a month later, this guy by the name of Roy calls me. Roy is one of the managers for Sharon Jones and the Dap King from Brooklyn, Fort Greene, rest in peace. So it's almost like, he was like, yo, Lord, we've been hearing a lot about you. And at that time, my MySpace profile was popping. We're going back right now. My MySpace profile was like popping at that time. And he was like, yo, Law, we've been hearing some great things about you. Your boy Al Street told us a lot about you, how you really did dope at the gig. And we saw you working with George Clinton. So we got this girl. She's about to release her second album on Universal, and her debut is going to be on David Letterman. Her name is Amy Winehouse. You ever heard of her? And I was like, no. And mind you, I'm shocked because I'm like, I'm usually up on everything. I'm like, no, I never heard about it. You didn't hear the remix with You Know I'm No Good with the Ghostface Killer beat? I'm like, no, I never heard it. For real shit. So all of a sudden, he was like, well, anyway, Lord, even if you didn't hear it, we would really like to have you to become one of the singers, because one of our background singers bailed out and hit to do a soap opera, but we really want you. We love the way you dance, we love the way you sing. So me, you know, I ain't gonna lie, at that point, I done sang backup for Freddie Jackson. I done sang backup for Shaka. I'm part of P-Funk camp now, so now you can't tell me shit. I'm with George Clinton. So I was picky about who I sang background for, and every right to. I'm like, who the fuck is this? I didn't say who it was. I'm just like, okay, well, let me get back to you. So I said, I'm gonna call y'all back. And I was very serious. So you know what I did, right? A nigga went to his computer.
Hit the Google?
Google. And the first song that came up, we're gonna make you laugh. This is some real shit. The first song that came up was a song called Fuck Me Pumps. It's not what you think it is. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
People thought it was a sexy song. It's not. It's actually a song about, it's her talking about a hoe, basically. So basically, I heard that shit. I heard the Lauryn Hill influence. I saw the whole Ronnie Spector hairdo, the whole jazz, the R&B, the hip hop. I was so open. I'm like, yo, she's dope as fuck. And she's from London. So, you know, I'm thinking I've been wanting to do some more overseas work. So, you know what I did, right? Hello? Hell yeah, let's do this. I'm with it. She's dope.
You damn right.
Okay, the song she's coming out with called Rehab. And they sent me the copy of it. No lie. About a week later, there I was in rehearsal, getting ready for David Letterman to change. We about to shock the world. And little did I know that my white Kango, y'all saw the clip on David Letterman. I had the New Balances on. I was representing Brooklyn because, you know, back home on the block, they was like, oh shit, that's Law. I was like, oh shit, my niggas on yard. So they hype. I'm hyped too because, mind you, I just met fucking David Letterman, and here's where it gets deep. On that same show, I met Chris Rock for the first time. Now, if y'all don't know, here's what's deep about Chris Rock, in case you don't know. First of all, Chris Rock was in Crush Groove. I don't know if you knew that now. It's a little known fact. He was in Crush Groove. He's one of the.
I didn't know that.
That's number one. Number two, Chris Rock's famous uncle is Ray Rock from the group Crown Heights Affair back in the 70s from Brooklyn. That's his uncle, Ray Rock. You know how I know this? Because my mother, Sandra, used to date Mookie, who was the bass player in Crown Heights Affair. Remember the movie that Chris Rock had called Head of State, the Head of the State?
Yeah.
Remember there was a scene in there where he was talking about the old school groups? That's why he mentioned Crown Heights Affair, because that's his uncle.
Okay.
So when I met him, because, you know, I'm waiting to see if he's going to try to get fly and try to be like on some superstar shit. I'm like, yo, Chris, it's an honor to meet you. First of all, you know, I'm a big fan. He said, thank you so much. He said, and we got something in common. He said, what? He said, your Uncle Ray Rock. He said, oh, word? He said, so, you know, I said, Ajax. He said, oh, Uncle Ajax. I said, Ajax used to babysit me, nigga, which is true. They used to babysit me when I was a kid. So it's interesting. That's the same day. So I felt like extra proud. I just did David Letterman. Amy heard my album and made me her opening act a year later. So the rest is history, man.
That's big, B.
Fire.
You done did some legendary things. We definitely got to shine a spotlight on you. Hats off and salutes.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. God is good, man. I just put the work and let God do the rest, man. That's all I can do.
All praise is due to the Most High.
Most High, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Damn. So much shit to talk about, man.
Where do we go, man?
You can go anywhere. Look, you can go anywhere you want. We on real time television.
That's what I'm saying. You could spin the compass on this dude's whole career, his whole resume, his whole career, whole resume. Feel me? Yeah, man. Wow, man.
SoundCloud for my fans. That's going to be on the double album that's coming out at the end of the year.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's old to the fans, but it's new to some of the people that had never heard it. But see, this is why I was smart, because what I didn't do, my second album was a live album. So the funny thing I had to do, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leak some of these songs and let them build equity, because I had so much new shit that was getting ready to come out before Corona out here. And I'm like, I'm very strategic. So some of the older songs that people didn't get a chance to hear, and then some of them were a couple of freestyles, because I put out a mixtape the year before, but I didn't like the mediums that they were going through. So I said, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the shit and I'm gonna repackage it, because my fans are very supportive. Like I re-released my first album and put 5 bonus songs on it. Them fans went back and bought the whole fucking album plus the bonus songs. I don't make my fans do shit. They do it because they really love what I've been putting out there and what I've been doing. So I got 3 mixtapes getting ready to come out, 2 EPs, and then for the last part of the year we got the double album, because outside of the few new songs I was leaking here and there wasn't a full album of Law material for the last couple of years, because it's all about mastering the game. And when you master the game, you want to learn every aspect and get even deeper. There's always something to learn. And I've always been the kind of person, I don't want to never get to a point where I feel like even though I've done all this shit, I done did it all. I ain't got to do nothing else. There's always something to do, especially if you're quarantined. So for me, it was like a nigga had to think, well, damn, Lord, you got this pre-production equipment in here. You know what? Start doing more of this shit. And I've been doing voiceovers for the last couple of months. See what I mean? Like, so a lot of different things have been coming in. So I don't have to go to the studio to record shit now. I just literally grab my microphone, plug it in, and make my money. So do that shit. Plus, as a producer, even though I have everything that I need to produce my shit, I'm still learning more on how to get better at the equipment that I'm using. So you take this time to learn and grow and do more shit and be more active with it. You know what I mean? So it's always something to do in context to that. So that's what we got coming out right now. It's just a whole lot of stuff, and I'm trying to be strategic with it all. The first single is coming out on June 1st. It's called "Give Me That Soul Music." It's my homage to old school R&B, the shit that our parents grew up on, like First Choice. You know, every time you hear like God bless his soul, you know, the late Sean Price. The one thing that we had in common, because you know, as everybody know here in this feed, that motherfucker was a jokester, and that's what that connected us all. We loved to laugh, and we used to always talk about Colonel Abrams, and funny, you know, Colonel Abrams shit, right? So it's funny because he would always tell me, he's like, "Yo, Lord, you would be the only nigga that could pull some shit like that off because you're stupid as hell too, and the fact that you know these songs and shit like I know them." I'm like, yeah, because I want to pay homage to the shit that we're 80s babies, we 80s 90s, so we grew up on that old school house, that R&B, right, that funk. So I wanted to make a song that paid homage to Al Green, Aretha Franklin. You know, come on, we got Southern parents, we got Southern relatives. You know, we grew up with Let's Stay Together and Love and Happiness. So when we hear this shit, we, you know y'all niggas don't dance, but y'all got your little two-step and shit. You know what I mean? You know, your vibe.
You gonna feel that soul music.
It's soul, you know what I mean? It's real shit. So I wanted to make a song because I already got a song called Real Hip Hop 101. I sent that over. Real Hip Hop 101 is just me going back to basics, just spitting my fucking head off. I have some shit like that, just to rhyme, straight rhyme and nothing else. But I also wanted to make an R&B funk kind of soul song that the steppers could step to and that you could play at the barbecues, your you know, your house parties and shit like that. I wanted something that your relatives can feel and take you back to that place when you were a kid hanging out on the block. You know how it was when it came to block parties. All the old timers pull up for Old Timers Day and be on Brownsville and shit. When all the niggas come out, they play all the old school whisper songs, the OJs and all that shit.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that I'm giving with Give Me That Soul Music. So that comes out on June 1st. Y'all actually the first guys to know about it. I made the announcement here, so y'all guys heard it here first. I didn't even make the announcement on the platform.
So where could they like find the music at?
Oh, it's going to be on all platforms: iTunes, Pandora, Spotify. Of course, my SoundCloud, and of course, I'm gonna leak it on my Instagram at Planet 12 Law, Twitter at Planet 12 Law, Facebook.com/Law Planet 12. It's gonna, you know me, I'm gonna put it all over the place. So,
what's the joint on? Like where they can find everything at now, though? Where they need to tap in at?
Well, we're building the website now. So that's what we're gonna centralize the operation before, like probably the next week or so. We're gonna centralize everything. But for now, they can go to my Instagram and because I'm consistent on all of them. I'm on each one of those every day. So they can go to Instagram at Planet 12 Law, Twitter at Planet 12 Law. They can get all the updates and everything on the social media platforms.
On SoundCloud?
Yeah, SoundCloud as well. SoundCloud.com/Planet 12 Productions. They can find all of it there.
Indeed.
So you making beats too? So you're giving out production to like anybody that's out there that need beats, anything?
All day. I mean, everything that you heard, that's all me. Except for the freestyle, that's over a sample by Brooklyn Dreams. And because I know the guys who are in that group, that's Donna Summer's husband. The Brooklyn Dream sample, and that's Joe Esposito. That's the guy that he also wrote that song. Remember Karate Kid? Remember the movie, the old movie? You're the best around. He wrote that. That's him. So that's like my uncle. That's like my uncle. What? That's a white guy. Got so much soul. You wouldn't. Now he's a Brooklyn boy. Now here's the crazy shit with him. He's from Flatbush, so it gets interesting. You know, he's hood like we are. He's from the old school white boy Flatbush version. I'm like, listen. He was talking some shit that only we would know as hood boys. I'm like, see, color don't matter. I said, damn, you grew up in the 60s. Like, it was like that back then. He said, why do you think we used to sing? We used to sing from having to fuck people up. I'm like, wow. So this is what I'm saying. So that's the sample of that record that I freestyled on. But all the other shit that you just heard that I played earlier, that's all me.
You know, I wanted to ask you, so
talk to me.
Is well-rounded, and you also produce, but you also a musician that plays several instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still sample though when you making beats?
Not as much, and it's like a two-part answer. Not as much, and only if I'm really it has to be something that like you know what I mean. It has to grab me. Like, in other words, if I hear like a let's just say, for lack of a better phrase, impeach the president. If I hear that shit, it's clear, it's clean, or that beat is real clear. Play it, loop it. If I sample it, I'm gonna put some live bass or some guitar or some real crazy shit on top of it if I'm a sample. Or if I hear a sample that's just so rugged and so dope, I'll probably add some extra keys to it or beef up the snare a little bit or type the hype, the 808 or whatever, and leave the sample last. It all depends, man. It depends on the vibe that I'm feeling. Because you know how it is, some actual joints are so hard. You know how it is, the beat be so hard. I don't want to touch this. I just want to rhyme. I just want to rhyme and sing. I don't even want to put nothing on top. I'm just like, shit. Like, I just want to just spit some shit out of it. So it all depends. It all depends on what vibe is giving me, you know? It all depends on the vibe.
What advice would you give to a artist? What advice would you give to an artist from right here, right now, today, that's still doing they shit, no matter what flavor it is, trap, drill, whatever, even if they still touching on boom bap, or even boom bap, or even if they creating their own new sound?
Got you.
What would you give to them in order to have the type of longevity that an artist like you has been able to have?
Well, I mean, it's a few things on that one. First and foremost, I would say, and I think I speak for all of us in the room, be your fucking self. That's number one. If you a fucking geeky, nerdy ass rapper, be that. If you a straight nigga from the street that rhyme, be that. If you just in between and tell great stories and didn't live none of the two extremes, be that. That's number one. Because I don't care if you're a singer or a rapper or producer. Nobody likes a pretender. If you just be yourself, you're going to gain your audience. Rock says something in one of his rounds off of his mixtape, and it kind of resonated. Because you know, me and Rock are both Scorpio. That's part of our connection. We both Scorps. And the funny shit is that he says some shit to the advantage of, I was too smart for the hard niggas, but too hard for the smart niggas. That was me in the high. You know, intelligent, scholastic, the whole bit. But yeah, I'm from St. Mark's Ave. I'll snuff the shit out of you in a minute. Like, don't be stupid. Like, I have both sides of the fence. So that's what brought the guys around. I mean, that's how most of us met through various street affiliations. People that we know. If I know one of your mans in them, like, oh, that's my boy Lord. Like, I know him from St. Mark's and Kinks. I know him from Dean. I know him from Mother Gaston. Like, people know me. If my name comes up in any circle that y'all niggas are in or y'all be somewhere, you're going to hear one or two things. Y'all know that already. Y'all going to hear, that's my dude. Like, y'all be on some music. Like, that's my man. That's how it is, because we all know each other personally. Be yourself. If you're yourself, it's going to attract the audience and the fanship that you need to move forward, and you build on that. A lot of times where MCs, rappers, and singers get lost is that they want to try to do what everybody else is doing. They think it's going to take off. Oh, trap is hot. Let me do trap. I'm like, no. If that's not you, why the fuck are you doing it? That's not you. If you know you can't really flow to that, you don't have to. I mean, one of the greatest accomplishments, again, going back to Wu-Tang and Boot Camp and all the guys that we love, is that they're able to tour the world doing them. Going back to Sean again, that's what one of the greatest clips, one of his biggest clips that used to make me smile was when he did that show in Greece. Remember that clip? And everybody knew all the words?
Mm-hmm.
You know how that made me feel, man. I get emotional when I talk about that shit. And I see Sean, Sean, when he do that little smirk smile, you know how Sean was. You do that little smirk smile, and shit trying not to get all cheesy and whatnot. But I had to call him up. I'm like, nigga, do you see that kind of power you got, man? And you've been independent like way past the heyday and when y'all niggas came out, and you touring the world consistently with the shit that you're putting out now. There's no greater feeling than that. Think about that. You get look at Russ. That's why every time I see Russ, you know what I mean? Like it's like
you talking about it's a lot of artists that gotta compromise themselves or gotta tone their shit down or change their shit up a little bit to fit into what society.
Exactly. So that's the thing in making it. So also too, once you do that, be yourself, find your position, find your angle, find out what makes you separate from everybody else. And even if you do, you can be open to try new things. Don't get me wrong. If you want to experiment and rap over some trap shit and bring your own style to it, that's cool. But when you start trying to dress like these, and these niggas be dressing so funny style, I don't even know how much you get in the room and start dressing like these. I'm like, you will never catch me. I said, I could rhyme over a trap beat and make these niggas look foolish just by being who the fuck I am. But a lot of people can't do that. So find your angle, find your audience, and the most important part, learn the business and stay upgraded. You know what that means? Look, we got a platform here. And I tell people, anybody that tells you that they don't fuck with computers, stay the fuck away from them. I said it. Stay the fuck away. I ain't really on that computer shit. Then we can't do business. I can't even fuck with you. I'm being real with you because if you're not keeping up with the technology and the times that we're living, especially now, this situation right here proves it. I know y'all been on IG. I have never seen so many niggas go live on IG in all my existence. It's funny as hell to see
right.
LL every other day. LL Cool J, that's one of my idols. I'm like, he's really on live like every other day.
Yo, he don't even look right.
It looks weird, and you can tell, LL do, yo, what's up, man? Like LL be trying to make it not look weird, but I'm like, LL is not used to
licking his lips, ass nigga.
Yeah. No, mind you, I know how we got to talk some music shit for real. I want to talk to you. All right, Stuck. See y'all in a minute.
You're ready, bro.
I love you, man. Be easy.
All right.
I know what you could do. Fuck out of here. We only cool with a few. It's only love for the crew. And homie, that ain't you. Fuck out of here. The same go for the bros. If y'all
missed the whole end of the show.
Show you the door. Fuck out of here. That shit whacking and whack. Put it back in the bag, cause we ain't fucking with that. Fuck out of here. You ain't fucking with us. We ain't fucking with you. I know what you could do. Fuck out of here. We only cool with a few. It's only love for the crew. And homie, that ain't you. Fuck out of here. The same go for the bros. If y'all ain't loving the Lord, then let me show you the door. Fuck out of here. That shit whacking and whack. Put it back in the bag, cause we ain't fucking with that. Fuck out of here.
What happened? Your phone died?
Fucking computer froze up. Got stuck. Fucking computer was stuck B over here, man.
Get on his phone.
Come on. A to Z listers. That's how we give it up, man. If you's a nobody, we gonna make you somebody. You know what I'm saying? Fuck out of here.